So thanks for being here with us again. I'm starting to feel as like your official interviewer. This is the first time that we do this duo presentation.
Absolutely.
You know, technology and data. I think you're very much aware of that in the world of sports. But how did you, let's say, see it evolve? You've been a player, a decent player back in the days. Was there anything different than the gut feel that a coach had? Something else that he had to make his decisions upon, or was it already starting to come the data and technology into the, let's say, the coaching and sports?
Well, yeah, I think it's very, very interesting. You are involved in the same sport. In our case, playing football doesn't change. 105 by 68, that's the space. You got 11 players, 10 outfield, 1 keeper. And you look at what it changes is the mentality of the people playing the sport. Now, telling a player you need to do better is not enough. What does mean? You need to tell me what better means. And that's why technology now is essential. So better means that you need to cover an extra 1,000 meters high intensity. Better means that you need to get 23 final third entries. Better means that you need to have a connection of playing forward, the line of pressure, 10 times more, it's half. And that's what technology brings. It brings always the guidance of a subjective experience of the coach, but then setting the goals is guided by technology. And I think that's where is huge difference, the way that we work in sport in general, because I think you don't have to be in a professional environment or in an elite team to want to set yourself goals and measure yourself. If you cannot measure where you are and what you want to get, it's impossible to improve. And that's what technology brings you in the level of a sport.
And when the days you were a player, was there already like heart rate tracking and GPS tracking? And was that it?
That was it. Yeah, I remember, I would say the first time I had my heart rate monitor was 1996. And that was almost a great way to feel that instinctively you had to sleep better, because you knew that the next morning you were going to show off in the heart rate monitor. You had to eat better because it would come up with a heart rate. So straight away you set yourself better standards of working because you've got a piece of technology. And at that point we couldn't really measure what was good and what was bad. But what we knew is that we were measuring it. And I think now where we are, especially with, if I give you a little bit of the overall view, how we use technology, is we got the best football generation ever in Belgian football. So for us, it's very easy to tell a young player what level he or she needs to get, because we can compare it to Kevin De Bruyne, or we can compare it to Eden Hazard, or we can compare it to Romelu Lukaku, or Thibaut Courtois, or Jan Vertonghen. So we got every profile. So now every young player in Belgium can exactly know through the stats and the data where he or she should get if they want to reach the levels of the best generation. And that's what technology brings you. And in my time, it was just measurement, nothing else, measurement, you measure. And now it's more, you get that measurement guided to some improvement.
Okay, but back in the days it was simple. You had heart rate monitoring and maybe GPS tracking. Today there's so many data points. We also get a lot of data from the clubs. We try to aggregate it here at the RBFA. We have some specialists in your staff. But how do we, let's say, find actionable insights? Because yeah, it's good to have data, but you also need to know what to do with it. How do you do that? Do we have dashboarding? How do we sort of try to get the data to something very tangible?
Yes, well, I think there are 2 ways of using data in football, in our case. You look at what the others are doing. Who won the last tournament? What did they do? GPS. Okay, that's what we're going to do, GPS. And that's a very reactive way. And what I like about the Innovation Hub and the day that, like today, is that you want to be on the forefront. You want to be very proactive. You want to be measuring and reaching out the things that is going to make you better. And that's why we set our goals. Now we've been together for 6 years. We know exactly what is a good performance and a bad performance. Remember that football is a low-scoring sport, which means that you could win 1-0 and be the worst team. Now, from the outside, everyone is happy when you win 1-0. In the inside, we know through the measurements and the data and the performances that that wasn't a good performance. In the same way, you could lose a game and everyone is so disappointed and really frustrated, but you know the performance was really, really good. And I think measuring performance is through technology. And that's why you need to customize that measurement. And that's what we've been doing, having very almost dashboards that we created here that allow us to access information. I think everyone now in football has, I would say, too much information. And it can be noisy, it can be distracting. What we're trying to do is make it very clear what lines we follow in the data and how we can access it. And those dashboards, now that they've been created, we got our own Department of Innovation and Analysis, and we're working constantly on what's success for us. Our teams, what's success? And everything is very much in data. That could be physical stats, that could be technical stats, that could be tactical stats when you try to get 2 or 3 measurements. And that builds a way of describing success for our football team. That is very different to any football team. You need to take in consideration the style of play, the type of players that we have, things that you need to give your subjective aspect that technology couldn't appreciate straight away.
Yeah. So when a player comes in a camp here with us in Tubize, you know exactly in what physical state he is because you have all the data. So you can base a lot of decisions you can base upon that. During the game, although, is there anything you rely on in regards to technology or data to make in-game decisions?
The clear one is obviously the physical data. We got live physical data, and that's what is a little bit that's a very tricky aspect, because obviously measuring physicality or measuring a player that is decreasing the physical output, that doesn't mean that it's not affecting the game. There are players that they don't need to run, to talk, communicate, and there are many aspects that you need to override. We got the physical coach that constantly, every 15 minutes, is saying, okay, the right back is dropping the physical output. And then you need to measure, well, is that because the opposition, now they changed the tactical approach? You need to give a lot of context to that data. But live information is always essential, because there is a moment that you want to make a decision, and the decision could be based in 2 or 3 options, and data can give you the final answer. That's important. And the other one is visual. We always work with a wide angle. You're on the bench, you've got a very much straight angle, and we got the replay in 2 seconds delayed, that you got the full tactical 21 players, 1 goalkeeper and the 20 outfield players at constant times. And even we can clip those actions for halftime or show them to the players individually. The visual in a moment of huge emotion helps immensely. But I would say the physical data and the visual data is the most important in live games at the moment.
Okay. Is there one specific technology you think will help us during the World Cup? Some new stuff that we're using?
Well, unfortunately, we were trying to work with a 3D, which is just, we could get live information that the coaches could actually be on the pitch with a virtual reality headset. And now FIFA hasn't given the license or the usage of that data in the live game. So we're not gonna use that. But I think for the future, it's totally the next coaching level for young players is where you can have a virtual reality, train the brain that has got no physical activity. We've seen that there is a lot about scanning, about the position of your head to be able to get information, and how the brain thinks without actually having to do the action and physically been getting tired. I think virtual reality is going to be one of the biggest aspects of individual coaching going to the future. Team coaching now is I would say 90% of the sessions. I feel technology will allow us to work probably 20% of the session will be with a group, and the other 80 will be very much individual based. And that could be virtual reality, it could be just working on your specifics. I really think that that's where the sport is going.
All right, final question. On Thursday, you announce the World Cup squad, so you don't need to answer this question, but will Kevin De Bruyne be in the squad?
Sorry,
Kevin De Bruyne be in the squad?
You shocked me with that question. I hope it is, because if it's not, it means that he got injured. No, I think Kevin, at the moment we got, it's interesting because everyone is so excited about the squad and the 26 names that they're going to be on Thursday. The reality is that those names, they started to be in that squad 2 years ago. This is not a moment to get players together and get to know them. when you got 7 days. It's never happened before. You got 7 days to prepare your first game in a World Cup. Normally you had 6 weeks. Normally you can build a way of playing. Here, I think there are going to be a lot of surprises in the first 3 games in the group phase, because teams are coming together, different moments of form, different aspects that you can really synchronize. And for us, we need to bank on the time that we've been together, the experience that these players had in the previous Euros, in the previous World Cup, and building something that it goes towards stability of the last 2 years. And you always get a player that you have to bring in because of the moment of form, but it's not a case of sitting down with the staff and saying, okay, let's pick 26 players. It doesn't work like that. And data helps a lot. It shows you where we are, where the players were in 2018. Can we play in the same way tactically when the players now, they haven't got the same physical level? You don't perform at the same when you are 32 than you are 26. It's natural, but that's where data allows you to adjust. But I don't think there'll be many surprises on Thursday, no.
All right. Thank you very much, Roberto.
Pleasure. Thank you.